When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.
Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Churchill Downs for Stephen Foster Preview Day. We have an 11 race card, 6 stakes on that card, and then we'll also look at Woodbine on Saturday and some racing at Santa Anita as well to close out our show. But let's start with the Stephen Foster Preview Day card, and Darin, I will kick things off with you today. What is your best bet on that card?
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. Got a nice price play in one of the stakes races. It comes race 7, the Audubon, going 1 1/8 miles over the turf course. I love Macero here at a good number, 10-1. This horse came back off the layoff last time out to score an emphatic victory over a course that definitely had some cut in it, but was not really a strong pace. 48-4 to the half, 13-2 to 3/4. And Macero just really came from extremely far back. He's number 7 on the far outside here in your screen. And look at him just lengthen his stride here, gobbling up ground. He's going to straighten himself out here in the last 16th of a mile and chase down the speed to get up in the final strides here. I thought this was a very encouraging return to the races for a horse that had been off since November the 8th in a race where he was narrowly defeated in a non-winners-of-2 life allowance event at Churchill Downs. They obviously thought highly of this horse coming out of a maiden victory. They ran him in the Grade 3 Iroquois behind horses like Jonathan's Way and Owen Almighty. They ran him in the British Futurity behind East Avenue. Then they went to the turf, and he looks like a different horse on grass. Not this time can throw runners on just about anything. The $500,000 Keeneland purchase seems to have come into his own of late, and I think he's definitely going to get an honest setup here. Tomasello down inside certainly wants to be forward. Charlie's to Blame has got some speed as well. And I'm going to look for Macero at a good number here to run them all down in the Audubon.
I like this pick, Darin. And Macero is a horse. They give him every chance on the main track in a pair of stakes last year. And you referenced it in his first turf start, his last juvenile start. Really a bang up effort at Churchill last fall to be a close third. I thought that was a really solid turf debut, and he kept building upon it this year. And I'm glad that Romans and the owners did not mess around with bringing this horse back on dirt. He's a turf horse. That was a good looking performance. My first glance at this race, I thought it was like a spread race. I'm not real keen on the short priced horses. I mean, they could win. It wouldn't surprise me. But if you have a strong opinion in this race like you do, DZ, to me, it's a good race to single because you'll eliminate a lot of tickets if you're right. The other thing I'll say is Dale Romans. I'm watching these races at Churchill every day, and I'll tell you, I've noticed it the last week and a half. His barn started to heat up. He and Corey Lannery in their last 6 starts at Churchill Downs have not finished worse than 4th. They got to win a couple seconds. I saw Pharaoh's Wine and Dreaming of Mo run real well last weekend for that duo. And I say this barn is heating up. You're going to get a price with a horse coming off a real encouraging effort in Macero.
Yeah, they're 21%. Corey and Dale Romans paired up 21% last 2 months and then a positive ROI. I'll say, too, looking at that stretch run, there was some concern, I thought, with a lack of speed signed on, and that Charlie's to Blame could try to go gate to wire here. I'm not sure what to expect with the 1 coming off Lasix, but went gate to wire 2 starts back on the turf at this distance. But I do think, looking at that closing kick we just watched, that Macero certainly can handle that. He was able to close well at 1 mile, so stretching out, I think, certainly can get the job done at 1 1/8 miles, and you're getting 10-1. So love that price once I saw it when the morning lines came out.
Yeah, it's a good number. He's got to. He earned a good Ragozin number. I love the fact that in his first start off the layoff, he improved his top on Ragozin by about 2 points as well. So that shows good development from age 2 to age 3 over the winter, and usually signals another move forward. So if that move forward comes, I think he's a win player.
James, what's your best bet?
Well, I've got I certainly have some opinions in the 6 stakes, but I went to the undercard for my best bet. It's going to come in race number 2, number 11, One Cool Dude. He's 8-1 on the morning line for Jordan Blair. And one thing I'll just say, it's supposed to there's a chance of some showers today's Thursday, Friday, but it looks like it's going to clear up overnight into Saturday. It's supposed to be sunny and breezy, which will help that track to dry out. There's a good chance that it won't be a wet track on Saturday. And One Cool Dude's last two appearances at Churchill Downs on fast tracks were both convincing wins. I think that this isn't a tough field. This is his favorite track. We'll see an allowance win from last June. And I'll just say that in his last performance there, he got caught on an inside trip on a sloppy track and didn't fire. But I love the outside draw today. And I don't think that this is the toughest field for One Cool Dude. I remember this race last September, really looked good that day, or I guess this was last June, but really looked good that day. The three top choices on the morning line, number 3, Morello, number 4, Kapoor, and number 5, MB Munnings, to me are all coming off of questionable efforts, not in their best form. And given that all those 3 runners are trained by Asmussen, Larry Ravelli, and Joe Sharp, they're all going to take money. I think One Cool Dude can beat them and the rest of this field. So I'm going to take a price shot in race 2, One Cool Dude.
Yeah, I like a couple of things about him. Jordan Blair, 18% off the layoff with a very strong ROI, meaning he's winning with horses that go off at decent prices, which One Cool Dude certainly projects to be here. And I like the workout pattern on the comeback. 47-3 move on April the 27th, followed by a 5 furlong blowout. Then another 47-3 move on May the 14th, followed by a really just very maintenance-like 4 furlong blowout. I think this horse is fully cranked and ready to go at first asking, and I love the draw to the outside as well. A lot of things to like at a good number.
Yeah, it's a tough race to decipher, but I think you have the good horse for the course angle there and good price. So don't fault you for going for the 8-1 there and trying to play against those favorites. I will take it to the grade 3 Blame, which is the local prep for the $1 million Stephen Foster on June 28th. And this is honestly a pretty tough field. I chose a tough race and ended up landing on number 2, Alexander Helios. Now, the reason I went with this race was because the more I looked at the field, I felt like I could poke some holes in some of these horses. You've got Most Wanted with a bad case of seconditis. You've got Post Time, who I liked a lot because we have a lot of speed signed on. But 3-1, once I saw that Post Time was the morning line favorite, I wasn't as excited to play this horse. Plus the outside post, a little bit of concern. 2 times that we've seen Post Time break from post 8 or farther out has finished 2nd or 3rd. So a little concerned, will this outside post affect Post Time? But Alexander Helios, a couple of reasons I like this horse. Safi Joseph, Aristides Jr. have been red hot recently. Memorial Day, we saw them win a grade 1 and a grade 2 at Santa Anita with Skippy Longstocking and Be Your Best. And now they're coming over to Churchill Downs. Alexander Helios could improve second off the layoff. He didn't have his best showing in the Oaklawn Handicap last out, but he did win 2 back in the grade 3 Razorback, which I believe we're watching right here. And I think that I also looked at Antiquarian and Tennessee Lamb. I think 2 long shots to consider as well, but Antiquarian, a little bit of a wild card. This horse has run all over the place distance-wise. 7 furlongs last out, won that race at Gulfstream, now stretching back out to 1 1/8, and did win at the distance in the grade 3 Peter Pan. But I just don't know for sure what I'm getting from Antiquarian. I feel like Alexander Helios has been a little bit more consistent recently with form. So I'm going to play the 2 with Aristides Jr. aboard for Safi Joseph, going with the hot trainer-jockey combo.
Yeah, this is a fascinating race from a lot of different perspectives. I think Post Time is going to be very attractive to players because of the likely pace scenario in here, with a lot of early speed and a lot of horses that are going to be viewed as viable win players, being horses that want to be pretty prominent early on, which might play into Post Time's hands. Still upset about his loss, narrow defeat in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He was best that day at 7-1. Ran very well in the Cigar Mile and then came back with a tremendous prep victory for Brittany Russell. I think he definitely is going to get the right setup here, given what's lining up to his inside. I think Mystic Dan would be wise to revert to some of his previous tactics that we saw in the Southwest Stakes and the Kentucky Derby here, where he took back a little bit off the pace and didn't get too caught up. He's shown a lot more speed in his first 2 starts this year. His last race, he ran fine, chasing Saudi Crown around the racetrack. I think if he runs back to his previous running style, it would give him a better chance. And then you mentioned Antiquarian. I actually bet him in the Belmont last year, so I look forward to seeing him as a 4-year-old. But the horse that's really perplexing to me, the inside runner Katona, Doug O'Neill just keeps running this horse. He won the Grade 2 San Pasquale and looked really good doing it. They tried him in the Santa Anita handicap. He was completely dusted by Locked. Then they sent him to Dubai, where he was a complete non-factor. You don't normally see horses come back off the Dubai World Cup and run 27 days later. He did that,
Never.
didn't run well, and now he's coming back again in like 4 weeks. I don't know what O'Neill is, what I guess he thinks the horse is, doing well training and can't figure it out. I will say this, with the setup that he might get here, if he's ever going to run well, this might be an interesting spot for him at a price. But I just thought the fact that this horse just keeps dropping in the box and traveling all over the world was a pretty fascinating part of the race as well. It's a cool race on Saturday.
I'll give I think the elephant in the room for post time is the 1.8 trip. I mean, I think if this race was a 1.16, he'd be the clear horse. He'd be the horse to beat off of that comebacker and just the way he finished last year. But I do think 1.8. I mean, he's like a miler. He's a 1-turn miler, 2-turn miler, 1.16. You're stretching him to 9 furlongs. That he's going to have to prove it to me. Most wanted. His second to rattle and roll in the Clark in his second stakes appearance. So he was a late blooming 3-year-old last fall. I thought that was a huge effort. And let's face, I mean, it took fierceness. It took a track record performance of fierceness to really put him away late in that Ali Sheba. So he's really dangerous. I do think, as far as your horse goes, Ashley, Alexander Helios, I do like the fact that his numbers are strong. He's run well at Churchill Downs and the 9 furlong distance. His last 2 efforts at Churchill, a second to hit show and a open lengths maiden win going 1.8, were both strong efforts. And he's going to be part of the pace from the inside with Irad Ortiz Jr., so you could get a decent trip on the front end. I also am going to use Antiquarium. I mean, his lone stakes win last year came in the Peter Pan. He was just getting started when he ran 5th in the Belmont, and then he went to the sidelines for the rest of his 3-year-old season. I loved his comeback win. He got bet off of how he was training, got bet way down odds on that day, and the horse he beat, Shaq Diesel, came back and won the big drama stakes. I mean, he's a 7 furlong multiple stakes winner, Shaq Diesel. He's a good 7 furlong horse. He came back and won a stake by 4 lengths next out, and Antiquarium and Barrett just humbled him last time. So I think that horse is potentially a lot better as a 4-year-old for Pletcher. We'll find out on Saturday, but the price will be right on Antiquarium with John Velasquez.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going to throw a few dollars on a win bet for Antiquarian with that price. If we get something around 15 to 1, my gut, I just don't know what to expect with him, but he seems to be working out decently at Saratoga heading up to this. So I could see a big run. I mean, honestly, I could see it going a lot of ways, but I ended up landing on Alexander Helios just with the holes that I was finding in other horses. It's going to be an exciting edition of the Blame. So whoever wins this, probably going to show up in the Stephen Foster, and that'll be an exciting race, I'm sure, as well. But let's move over to the horses we're fading at a short price. James, who is that for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Regret Stakes. I'm going to listen. Mark Casse has got, I think, maybe 7 3-year-old turf stakes fillies this year. And, Classic Q is going to get bet for Casse in the race in the Regret. But I'm going to fade her off of that win last time. I didn't listen. That was a solid performance, but I wasn't too keen on that competition that day. I thought like some of these horses are just, exiting much better races. And I'm like, I'm going to make a case for number 6, Totally Justified. I like both her and Fiona, the 6 and the 8, it coming off their last start. So I'm going to try to beat both Classic Q, who's the morning line favorite, and Lush Lips, who could compete for favoritism as well. I think both those fillies will be overbet and are vulnerable. So I'll make my fade the morning line favorite in the Regret Stakes on Saturday.
Yeah, I looked at that too.
Yeah, I agree with Classic Q. I do think Lush Lips is the horse to beat, though. She's been second to Nitrogen in each of her last 2 starts. She's probably the best 3-year-old turf filly in the country. She did not get off to a good beginning in the Edgewood, had to be relegated to tactics that might not be her preferred running style. And I thought ran very well and overcame that, despite the issues that she faced at the start. She was ranked early on, didn't like where she was on the racetrack. I thought that was a really good effort, and I expected her to fire to the front. I think an interesting long shot in the race is a Terradora, who I thought ran really well behind Nitrogen last time after getting off to a slow beginning. She's got a really nice turn of foot for Mike Maker, and if she can find her way into the race a little bit sooner, I definitely think she's got some value to add to the exotics here. So it's an interesting race. I'm definitely against Classic Q, and I'm going to go with the 2 of the horses who ran behind Nitrogen last time out. And I do agree Fiona is also coming off a good effort behind Nitrogen. 3, 7, and 8 were going to be the 3 that I probably use quite a bit in here.
Nitrogen, one of those Mark Cassie turf runners. That's really good. But yeah, Classic Q, the 2 times she's won, actually, she had Lasix, and it was against Allowance and Maiden Special Weight Company. So I am a little skeptical here in this graded stakes race, how she stacks up, and totally would go with a different horse to try to beat this morning line favorite here. Darin, who is your fate of the week?
Yeah, this one was pretty easy for me. It's Where's My Ring in the Shawnee. She's a complete hit or miss type. She ran 3rd last time out in the Apple Blossom, and you're going to get a look at that replay here in just a moment behind Torpedo Anna and Free Like a Girl. And off that performance, I guess she's going to get money here. But to be honest with you, I was not impressed with and this is her 3rd in this spot. That's her in the outside, where she just kind of one-paced here under left-handed pressure. That's Free Like a Girl, who's 2nd, who she can't even go by, who's going to be running against her again in this spot. I just was not really impressed with the older filly and mare stakes at Oaklawn. I thought Torpedo Anna was beating overmatched fillies and mares in that spot. This is a grade 3, so it's a little bit of a step down. But I just think that there's more appeal with some of the other horses that have not been running in those races down in Oaklawn. Even a horse like Jin Jin, who's coming off of a blowout victory over Candide, who came back to win next time out in the Double Dog Dare, I think is a much more inviting prospect than a horse in here like Where's My Ring. So using that angle, I think she's a pretty easy play against for me at any kind of a short price.
She's turned in 2 efforts. One last year in in the Gazelle, and at in an allowance race on March 15th this year at Oaklawn, where she's gotten these huge numbers, and they're complete misnomers. She can't run back to those performances against good horses or in graded stakes against better fields. And but she's going to get bet. She got bet down to 5-2 against Torpedo Anna last time. People are going to still bet Where's My Ring off of that allowance win 2 starts back. So I do think Jin Jin is a ton more appealing. The fact is, Jin Jin ran 2nd to in the 2023 Rags to Riches at Churchill Downs. She also broke her maiden at this track. She likes Churchill Downs, and she did not come back well this year at Fairgrounds, but that race in the Double Dog Dare last time was impressive. It just was. And I think that if she was shipping to run at at Saratoga in the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps next Saturday, yeah, she'd have some questions to answer, whether she can carry that form and back that performance up at Saratoga or not. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think she likes Churchill based on her previous efforts, and she's faster off of that Double Dog Dare than Where's My Ring and the rest of these runners. So I do think Jin Jin's the one to beat. And I like this Where's My Ring fade because she was 11-1 in last year's Kentucky Oaks. I mean, she's going to get bet Where's My Ring, and I don't think she's going to win.
And speaking of that Oaklawn form and the skepticism, my fate of the week is Scully in the Aristides. What'd you say?
This is a bold one.
I don't think it's bold, honestly, because Scully is a little unproven outside of Oaklawn. 10 of his 12 career victories have come at Oaklawn Park. He's on a 2-race win streak right now at Oaklawn Park. He did break his maiden at Churchill at 2nd asking, but then his next 3 appearances at Churchill Downs ended up finishing 2nd. And he ended up actually 2nd to Happy as a Choice in the Louisville Thoroughbred Society Stakes, where we have Happy as a choice in this field. This could set up for a late runner like Happy as a choice yet again. But World Record to the outside, likes to show early speed. But I talked to Rudy Broussais this morning. He said that, World Record doesn't need the lead and might take a different trip in this race. But we watched on May 1st at Churchill, World Record. He almost set the track record at 6 furlongs that day, but he did have an inside post. I am a little concerned with the outside post. But Scully, I just feel like he has to prove it to me. And at 7-5, I'm going to play against, considering his recent form at Churchill Downs and just the fact that every time he shows up outside of Oaklawn, it seems to be a runner-up as opposed to a win. I know he's probably, he has to get the lead. He's a need the lead type. And we will have the one go to the front as well. I'm looking for someone a little bit off the pace to win, or World Record to just get way out in front, which probably isn't happening from the outside. So I could see him sitting off the pace and still win. I'm just looking elsewhere, especially at 7-5.
I like it because I do think that I'm going to bet World Record. If I'm going to play against Scully. I mean, he's these horses that can't win outside of one locale or another. To me, they have zero appeal at short odds. Especially in a grade 3 stake like this, where you got a horse like World Record last year. I talked to Rudolph Brissett last fall, and I was just going over, mostly Milliken, but I asked him about this horse, and he talked about it. I mean, his 2 wins, including a stakes win, he just had everything his own way. I mean, he was not a professional racehorse at all last year. Whenever he faced some adversity, he would just spit the bit and quit running. And I'll tell you, that comeback effort on the Oaks undercard, on the Thurby program, he took serious pressure. He was in there against Nash and some others I thought were tied on for a good effort. And unlike his previous wins, he fought hard and he showed some courage and he put him away to win comfortably in the end. I think he's matured as a 4-year-old and he's a different performer this year, World Record. So I'm with you, Ashley.
Yeah, he does have a pattern, I will say, win-loss right now, but maybe he can string together 2 this time.
Yeah, go ahead, Darin. Look. Yeah, the obvious thing with this race is the pace scenario. If Champlin really forces the issue early and softens up Scully, and World Record sits in the catbird seat 3rd behind the 2 speeds, which I think is the best situation for World Record, he absolutely can jump up and beat him. And then Giant Mischief also you have to take a look at. He ran second to the very talented Booth back in the Whitmore, who came back to win next time out as well. And I think he might be the horse that might be a little bit overlooked in this spot. He didn't
get the right trip last time either.
No, Yeah, he did. He doesn't. The race, like the race at Keeneland where he went wire to wire. He went wire to wire because he was just the best horse in the race. He didn't need the lead, and he's not by any stretch of the imagination a horse that I even think wants to be on the lead. So I think Giant Mischief definitely has some appeal. The reason that I say it's bold is because from a speed figure standpoint, he is much faster right now than he's ever been in his life. And he's also much faster than everybody else in the race. And the Ragozin players, when you take a look at the Ragozin sheets, just for example, World Record's coming off a really good race. He ran an 8. He paired up his top. Giant Mischief is coming off of a bad race, but the race before that, he ran an 8. His best race in his career is a 4.5. Scully is coming off of a 0 on the Ragozin sheets. And the race before that, he ran a 3. So he needs to regress off what he's been doing. Now, he definitely could. But, his last 2 races indicate from a speed figure standpoint, he's a little bit of a different horse right now. I love fading him, but it is bold.
Well, a quick question, Darin. 3 starts back. What was that Ragozin number?
What, the Breeders' Cup Sprint?
Yeah, just the fact that it was at Del Mar and it wasn't at
that was a 13, but by similar comparison, a lot of these other horses, their typical race is like a 9 or a 10, and in the race that he completely ran terrible and got beat 9 lengths, he ran a 13.
Right. But I do think he's a need the lead type, and I do worry that he's gonna get pushed for that early lead, and we'll see if with the one had a really good, I thought, last out. Champlin set really fast fractions too at Churchill in that St. Matthew's overnight stakes. So I mean, if
Yep.
Scully doesn't get the lead, like, I don't think he's winning this.
And you got Luis Saez on Champlin, which, if Luis Saez doesn't gun from the rail, I would fall off my chair. You just have to hope that nobody looks at the PPs and tries to say, well, I don't want to be the one to run with him early, and all of a sudden Skelly's out by 2. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen, but it'll be, I mean, if they all push him, it's going to be pretty wild, fractions, probably sub 44 to the half, I would expect.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll find out what happens in this race. A lot we could debate about there. But let's talk promos and tournaments at TwinSpires this weekend.
Yep, a lot going on as always. We got a couple of good offers for the weekend at Churchill Downs. So Friday, we have the across the board boost. That's a 15% boost on top of your winnings for win, place, and show wagers. Basically, it's a way to remove the takeout rate for those wagers, which are up to about 17, 18%. So almost getting rid of the entire takeout with the boost on your winnings. So be sure to be opted into that one on Friday. And then we do even better on Saturday. We give you a 25% odds boost on your winning win wagers. That's taking out the takeout and then some for this particular wager. So if you have a horse that's 4-1 that's going to pay $10 for you, it's basically 5-1 plus. So it's a really cool offer. It incentivizes the simplest wager that horse players like, the win wager. 25% odds boost there for the Stephen Foster preview day at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Tournament-wise, a couple of big ones. So we've got a BCBC KDBC qualifier coming up on Saturday, but we have a great feeder contest leading into that tomorrow. It is a $400 bonus feeder. What does that mean? Once we get to 10 entries, we give away 1 seat for every 4 players. So it's a great contest to kind of see who's doing what. And a lot of players have an opportunity to buy in after the second or third race when some players have already lost their bankroll. And often this contest ends up giving out 1 seat for like every 3.5 players, which you're just not going to see in any other tournament engine. And it will get you a seat into this tournament, the $1,000 KDBC BCBC qualifier on Saturday. We are guaranteeing 1 of each of those seats, but depending on the number of players that participate, we can certainly give out more. So it's a early chance to get qualified for next year's Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge, and also has one of those coveted Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seats as well, as we are a proud partner with them. So nice compliment to Stephen Foster preview day there, Ashley.
Sounds good. And now we'll take it to what else we're watching for this weekend. We already talked. I think, Darin, you're taking it to a horse who was in the mind frame going up against Giant Mischief and was a dead heat second. So tell me about Dysos.
Yeah, a little disappointed that he's not running in the Met Mile because I saw he was nominated there, and I figured that's probably where he would go. Baffert has never shied away from putting a horse there, and I thought he ran very well in the Churchill Downs, coming from a really difficult spot where he had to overcome a lot, and coming off of a 15-month layoff. He got a good setup that day, but he faced the sloppy track for the first time. He faced an extremely talented field that day, and you're getting a look at the stretch run here of the Churchill Downs. And this is Nysos, who's getting rolling late here, coming after Mindframe, who somehow just digs down here to get up on the far outside. You get a look at Nysos there down towards the inside as well. I mean, just a 4-horse blanket finish. I thought he ran great that day. And I was expecting him to come out of that race and go to the Met Mile. I guess the Met Mile came up really, really tough. Baffert decided to stay home with him. He catches Dr. Venkman, who's on the comeback trail after running 4th as the beaten favorite in the Pacific Classic last year. He makes his first start back to get himself set up for the campaign. But Nysos, who at one point was the winter book favorite for the Kentucky Derby last year, comes back. We'll see where he gets pointed as the year goes on. I'm still not quite sure how far he wants to go. Maybe he's going to remain a sprinter miler type, which is why I thought the Met Mile was a good spot for him. Whereas Dr. Venkman, I think, is certainly a horse that they want to point towards more of the longer classic races later on. So he's going to really need to have his running shoes on because Nysos has already got that start under his belt. So it's a really interesting race. Short field, but talented one in the Triple Bend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him run there because I do think if he had won the Churchill, he would have gone there. But having dead heated for second, I mean, and staring at Fierceness and White Barrio, I can just understand. It's a long season, and like you said, 15-month layoff. Why not get a confidence booster or builder?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of him. Always puts up triple-digit Brisnet speed figures. I don't know Ragozin, but I'm sure they're good Ragozin numbers too. But this horse is always consistent.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheers.
I'm gonna take my what else to Saturday at Woodbine. They've got a good program. Got 4 stakes there. I'll be pretty quick. The stakes action gets underway in the opener. That's the Grade 3 Jock Cartier at 6 furlongs on Topeta, and Patches O'Houlihan, who was last year's Canadian Horse of the Year. He's the reigning back-to-back sprinter. He's 1-5 on the morning line against 3 rivals in that spot. Race number 9 is the Grade 2 Eclipse at 1 mile and a 16th on Topeta. Got a couple of veterans of the Grade 1 and Grade 2 turf stakes race in the U.S. last year, and Get Smokin' and Web Slinger squaring off in that Eclipse. Race 10 is the Grade 3 Bell Mahoney for Fillies and Mares at 1 mile and a 16th on Topeta. It features the comebacker for Caitlin Her Greatness. Caitlin Her Greatness won she was champion 3-year-old filly in Canada last year. She won the King's Plate. Her next start, she really ran a respectable third, I thought, in a big field in the Grade 1 Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup to that DeVoe winner. I forgot her name right offhand. She feels pretty. She was real impressive that day winning that race. But Caitlin Her Greatness, and Caitlin Her Greatness broke her maiden on the main track on dirt. So to me, she's proven on dirt, turf, and synthetics. Excited to see her open her 4-year-old season. And finally, race number 8 is the Grade 2 Royal North for Fillies and Mares, 6.5 furlongs on turf. One of the horses in there is number 10, Gal in a Rush. She's was a Grade 3 winner. She'll be one of the first starters this weekend for Miguel Clement, who takes over for his late father. Christophe Clement passed away at age 59. Too soon, gone too soon last weekend. Listen, Clement's one of the great, was a great trainer and trained just tremendous turf horses, over the last decades. Arguably Giopani's the best horse he ever trained. 3-time turf champ or 3-time Eclipse Award winner, ran second in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but the biggest race Clement ever won did come on dirt. I was at that 2014 Belmont when he halted California Chrome's Triple Crown bid. Tonalist was just such a hard hitter, won back-to-back editions of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Clement good with sprinters, routers, turf, dirt. He was a great trainer, and rest in peace.
Yeah, well said. I don't know if I can follow that up, but it will be fun to see Gal in a Rush. I think actually this is a interesting spot in that race. It's a tough field. It's a 10-horse field, but I thought as a decent price, 6-1, I thought had a chance here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She comes back off of a comeback or two, in that whimsical. I thought she got a little bit tailed off a little bit after her first race Saratoga last year, or just didn't wasn't running perhaps at her peak of her ability, but perhaps off that comeback, or she can come back to form. Obviously, that field has some nice horses in there with that 2B. She's the morning line favorite for Grand Motion. Won the Las Cienegas 2-back in California. But I think Miguel is going to do a really good job replacing his father, and be interesting to see how his horses run starting this weekend.
Yeah. When you talked about Christophe Clement, 41 Grade 1 winners since he came over to the United States. I think the first one was the Diana. I think I read back in 1997 or so. But yeah, you talked about Tonalist. A lot of people forget that Giopante ran second to Zenyatta in that Breeders' Cup Classic. And, if not for Zenyatta, he's probably a Breeders' Cup Classic winner. He was a horse that I always felt bad for because it felt like there was never a premium turf race for him on Breeders' Cup Day to win. The mile was too short. The turf was too long. And then the one year he gets to go 1.25 miles on a synthetic surface, he runs into Zenyatta. But yeah, Clement was just incredible. 5-time winner of the Sword Dancer, 2 or 3-time winner of the Beverly D. Gone way too soon at the age of just 59. And, wish nothing but the best for his family and his son who takes over his stable. I saw he has 3 horses running over the country on Saturday. So certainly Well, I think it would be really, really fitting. Clement, his first horse that he ever saddled in the United States, he won. And I think it would be really, really cool if his son could pull that off as well on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, to close out, I will talk some Churchill racing on Sunday. We do have the Grade 3 Mint Julep for fillies and mares, and Pinup Betty is the headliner, winner of last year's Regret on the Stephen Foster Preview Day card, and she's looking to get back to the winner's circle still since that win in the Regret. She was a next second last out in the Distaff Turf Mile, a Grade 2 on Derby Day, regains Luis Saez, could improve second off the layoff, but this is a really tough field. We're watching this replay here. From Derby Day, where she's going to finish a very close second. But it came up very tough. I feel like there's a lot of horses in here actually at better prices. I'm intrigued by Deep Satin for Shree DeVoe. I actually don't know the price. The morning line hasn't come out yet, but I am assuming Pinup Betty will likely be the morning line favorite. But Deep Satin for Shree DeVoe coming off a really good allowance win at Keeneland. You've got 2 for Safi Joseph, No More Candy, who's a neck shy of being unbeaten from 4 starts. And then also number 2, moving on up. We do have the morning line. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I have the morning line. I didn't have it literally, I think, an hour ago when I looked at this. So is it the morning line favorite? Did I get it right? With
Moving on up's the morning line favorite
at all. Okay. This is not what I was expecting with moving on up.
And this race is on turf. This race is on turf too.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it not say that? It doesn't matter. Okay, it's on a turf. But I was not expecting moving on up to be a shorter price, actually, than No More Candy. But Frankie Dettori is aboard. I like No More Candy's form, having, like I said, just been a neck shy of being unbeaten. And Irad Ortiz Jr. is aboard, breaking from the outside. But it is a very, very tough field. I thought should be a really exciting stakes race to close out the weekend at Churchill Downs. And then, it comes a day after we have 6 stakes, we have 5 Grade 3s on the Stephen Foster Preview Day card. So check that out on Sunday if you're looking to watch the races on Sunday.
A lot of contenders on the outside in that race. I thought moving on up got the fortuitous draw. His main 4 rivals are drawn in post 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
For her.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have today. We went kind of long today for the jury, but we will be back next Thursday to talk more best bets and fades. And stick with us on Saturday. James is coming in town for Stephen Foster Preview Day. We'll have a whole lot of social coverage at TwinSpires. And of course, watch and wager. Go to those promos and tournaments at TwinSpires, and we'll see you next week.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.